I am super stoked to go over this deck today, the Lightweb Oracle deck by Joanna Hunter. This baby is so beautiful. I was instantaneously brought to the art on the box. As you can tell on the box, 44 Oracle cards in here with a guidebook. The publisher for this deck is Muse Oracle Press. And if you zoom in here, I hope you guys can see that okay. The artwork here is by Babich and Stephanie Wicker-Campbell. So without further ado, let's get started. So again, deck box is pretty sturdy. And to give a comparison for the deck size, again, about hand size there. Beautiful colors. So the first category for those of you who are new that I go over is the artwork on the cards. So as you can tell, absolutely stunning. Again, a lot of readability in these. So first two categories is the art. Is it intuitive? Is it readable? As you can tell, each of these cards have, again, a little sort of typecast subset of little pointers. So if you don't necessarily want to go into the book, you just want to go on the fly, it's got beautiful little notes. I just love the colors of these. Look at that. I've always been drawn to decks that are multicolored. This one's very pastel-y. Absolutely beautiful. And again, like, some of the cards are pretty straightforward, but you could very easily read and intuit multiple things on these cards. So I'd say for art visuals for me, and also for, you know, an intuitive readability, could you ascertain different things from just looking at these cards? I'd give these both a 5 out of 5. Really beautiful, really nice. The only thing that might be a bit hard for some, again, if you are a tarot reader on YouTube, as you can tell, these are glossy, they're not matte. So that's one of the things you just kind of have to keep in mind if you're going to be using these on your channel. Absolutely stunning though. Again, this one's got light codes in it if you are drawn to that. I find that the emotional tone of these cards are really beautiful. You can just feel the energy emanating off of these cards. And another category I have as well is the inclusivity of these cards. Do these cards represent different cultures, different traditions? And this one is another, again, 5 out of 5 for that. Massively inclusive. Beautiful feminine energies. Different age categories. Young, old. Spirit and afar. Like, wowza. Like, wowza. So emotional tone. I'd say for this deck is a very neutral and or calming emotional tone. Obviously, as you can tell by looking at these cards, there's not a lot of I wouldn't even say negative aspects, but there's not a lot of dark imagery or subject matter that might be too traumatic or too nervous system evoking from a negative aspect. It's not to say that these cards don't have, you know, negative sides or messages that could pertain to negative aspects, but as you can tell, these are fairly pastel in color. So, I mean, for shadow work, if your goal is shadow work, I mean, these could potentially be a springboard for you. But their emotional tone is a little more on the gentle side. So, again, I guess it depends on what you're looking for. I would give these emotional tone a 3 out of 5. Not harsh, not you know, trauma invoking. Pretty good. Maybe a 3 or a 4, I'd say. You know, if you want to delve a little deeper, you might have to dig a little deeper into these cards to intuit your meanings. So they don't provide a lot of shadow work prompts, but very beautiful deck. So again, for trauma, grief, sensitivity, awareness, again, I'd say that's a pretty low on the spectrum, maybe like a 1 or a 2. It's not really going to light stuff up. Some of the messages might in here, but apart from that, I'd say it's pretty straightforward. So same thing with the guidebook. The guidebook is about the same size as the cards. The guidebook is in, there we go, let me just pop that in, is in black and white. I'm not too fussed either way, but some people I know prefer colored pages. Font's a little small, so those of you who have reading accessibility or prefer a larger font, this might be a bit harder for you to read. Let's see. So if we're looking at, again, an example of the deck, you've got your Lightweb, which is, again, little point notes of what the card positive aspects might be. Shadow web, what the negative aspects would be, a transmission of light. So essentially a little almost meditation of the card. And then you've got your going deeper, which is essentially what the card might mean or pertain to you or your question in the reading. And then it gives you kind of a light tool. So other things that you might be able to connect to or meditate upon going forward. So all in all, a very good book, very helpful. I'd say if I were using this in a reading, I would probably be using these cards as either an overview card or even just as a clarifier card or even just daily polls. Really great deck for that. Usability of the deck is another category that I would put this in. The card stock is very solid, very thick card stock. Again, it's about the size of my hand, so shuffling isn't too bad. Oh, there you go, see? Aw, manifesting. Beautiful. It's like, yay, heart-centered care. Mwah. And yeah, I mean, if you prefer to shuffle more like this, the deck cuts very nicely, shuffles very nicely. Good quality stock there. This deck will probably last you a good long while, and you could probably use it quite strongly, and the cards would still take a fair amount of wear and tear. Again, just glossy. So I'd say usability, maybe for the gloss, I'll take a point down just for reflectivity. So I'd say 4 out of 5. Very good quality for a deck. One of my next points is journaling potential. Do these cards springboard you into other journaling potential or things that might help you to reflect? I'd say I'd give it probably a 3 out of 5. These cards will definitely help you to think about how you can go forth in your life or what things might be coming up. And yes, it does point you to potential other avenues to look into. I'd say out of the other decks I've covered, journaling prompt, you'd probably have to work a little harder to add these into your journaling, but again, that comes up to creativity more than anything else. So I'd say, again, maybe a 3 out of 5. It's not bad. You might have to work a little bit at it, but it's still pretty good, and it'll still give you enough meat to look into whatever work or whatever query you're hoping to ascertain from your cards. Price point for these cards, this one was $42 Canadian. And I try to buy my cards from local metaphysical shops just to support local businesses. For a tarot deck or an oracle deck, $42 isn't too bad. That's the usual going price. This one is fairly new. I haven't seen this one around. Let me just double check publishing here. Yeah, so this was published in 2025. So this is a fairly new deck, all things considered. So $42 for a new deck that's very beautifully designed, that's honestly not bad at all. So given the price point, I'd say that's pretty fair. And because it's still relatively new, the accessibility of this deck is still fairly easy to access, regardless of the route or the method that you want to get this. So accessibility is pretty open. And I'd say that the price is pretty fair given what other tarot decks are being charged for nowadays. So I'd give the price point for value 5 out of 5 easily. And same thing with the availability and accessibility. These are easily accessible, so no problems at all. So I'd say overall for this deck, I'd give this whole deck, I'd say probably, in my mind, I'd say a 5 out of 5. I like this deck. I think it's very beautiful. But then again, I am a sucker for beautiful decks. Especially these ones. I have a few other, ones. It reminded me very similar to Rebecca-Campbell's books. I don't know if obviously, if you're coming here, you may have some foreknowledge about previous decks or other decks, like the Starseed Oracle and stuff like that. So that's why I got this initially, because I love Rebecca-Campbell's tarot decks as well. So it's very comparable to that. If you like her style, this would definitely be a good fit for having in your tarot or oracle deck collection. I'd say final thoughts for this deck. Yeah, pretty good. And it might really be a good fit for you, or it might not. But again, that's why I do these videos, so that you can get an idea of if that's going to work for you. So I want to close this video again by saying thank you so very much for joining me in these videos. I absolutely hope that they are of help to you all. That's why I've made these videos, or I want to continue making these videos, is just to be an assistant in choosing your decks and hopefully finding some new ones that you've never heard of, or a review of ones that you have and you love. I hope that it's been able to support you in your journey and help you decide if this deck is a good one to add. If you have any questions below, or if there's any other decks that you would love to see on this channel, please pop me a message. I love hearing from you all, and I love collaborating with you all. And if you have this deck and you've worked with it before, please also chat with us in the comments box. Would love to hear and see how it's resonated with you or come up in your journey. And again, until next time, all of you, I'm wishing you so much love. Please take gentle care of yourselves. And thanks again for holding this small light of time with me today alongside your busy days. Take care, guys. Bye.